Gee, some of us are getting into the Christmas spirit, but for some, the Christmas spirit isn't there, and it's quite understandable.
Yeah, it could be a tough time for many people during the holiday season. Sometimes getting caught up in the hustle and bustle of the holidays, taking a time to reflect and pause could actually be really good for your mental well-being. And instead of looking at the season with anxiety, there are ways you can flip the script. Margaret Eaton is CEO of the Canadian Mental Health Association. She joins me now this morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So we talk oftentimes about how it's the most wonderful time of the year, but that's not the case for many people. A lot of people struggle this time of year.
Yeah, that is so true. What we found was 1 in 4 Canadians have feelings of anxiety during the holiday season, and 24% of women have cited feeling depressed as they enter the holiday season.
Yeah, and so your association has come out with these sweaters. It's the Ugly
Yeah.
Truth holiday sweaters. I'm going to hold one up, and this
Yeah.
one, and Bill's got the other one up. Tell me a little bit more about this campaign.
Yeah, this is a campaign that we've done with Citizen Relations. And their idea was that there is a tradition of all of us wearing these ugly holiday sweaters, but there are also some ugly truths about the holidays. And wouldn't it be a good idea to shine a light on the fact that people aren't always so happy to be participating in the holidays? And maybe we need to normalize the fact that people do feel anxiety, they feel depressed, and they feel loneliness during the holidays. So we want to say it's okay if the holidays aren't the most wonderful time of the year for you.
Especially with the pandemic, are you seeing a rise in depression and anxiety from people?
Absolutely. Over the last 2 years, almost 50% of Canadians have said that their mental health has worsened during the pandemic. And then now with Omicron on the rise, I think a lot of us have been disappointed that some of the things we thought we were going to do during the holidays, we may not be able to do. We may not see the family and friends that we had counted on seeing. And those social connections are so important to our mental health.
All right, so Margaret, how do we flip the script? How do people approach this if they are starting to feel anxious or down?
Right. Well, one of the things we suggest is that you set manageable expectations. So a lot of us place a lot of pressure on ourselves, especially women, to have the perfect holiday. So try to rethink your holiday in the same way COVID has made us rethink things. Maybe it's an opportunity to say no to things that you maybe haven't enjoyed, that you'd rather not do. We also suggest trying not to overdo it. So especially when it comes to spending, let's try not to overspend this year. Your producer was just telling me that one of the things they're doing in their family is giving experiences instead of giving gifts. So I think that's a lovely idea. How about sharing responsibilities and setting boundaries ahead of time so that all the pressure for entertaining doesn't fall on you? And to ward off loneliness, because 1 in 10 Canadians say they're often lonely, we suggest that you keep busy with your favorite me time activities, try to connect with others, or maybe even volunteer in your community this season.
Margaret, can you also give us some ideas of what to look out for symptoms? Because sometimes it could be very subtle.
Yeah, it's so true. So if you're feeling overwhelmed for prolonged periods of time, that can be a marker. Or if you have persistent feelings of worry, anger, or despair. Oftentimes it manifests as not having energy or changes in eating habits. And so if you are going through some of those feelings and you're finding you're unable to participate in your daily life or enjoy your daily life, that's the time to really reach out. And we encourage you to go to our website, cmha.ca, Canadian Mental Health Association. And there are many tips and tricks there for you, and also crisis lines to call if the situation gets severe, and supportive programs that could help you deal with anxiety and depression.
And I've really stuck to this phrase over the last couple of years, we're all in this together. What if you are noticing your friend or a loved one sort of showing some of these symptoms? How do you approach it? Because sometimes it can be very sensitive to approach something like this.
It can be very sensitive. And I think one of the most important things is to let the good people in your life know that you are there for them, that you're open and able to listen to their feelings and encourage them to express how they are truly feeling. So instead of just saying, "Hi, how are you?" really ask, "How are you doing?" And then you can also recommend that they see someone else. You don't want to be their therapist, but there are many therapists, there are crisis lines standing by that can help people who are feeling overwhelmed at this time that you could refer them to.
You mentioned women experiencing a lot of anxiety and stress over the holidays. Why do you think that women tend to feel it a little bit more this time around?
I think we live in a culture where women are the ones who are expected to keep up social relationships. They're expected to be the entertainers, the party planners. They're oftentimes the ones who are most responsible for children and the elderly in their lives. So Christmas adds on an extra burden in addition to everything else you're doing as a mom or as a partner. Now you need to do all of these other things. And that's part of just ingrained cultural tradition that women are the ones that are expected to do these things. So if you're a man out there, maybe it's time to think about, what am I expecting my partner to do, or my daughter, or my mom, and maybe share some of that burden with the woman in your life.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I remember after having my son, I was feeling a little bit down at that time, and my husband asked me, what can I do? And I said, honestly, just a cup of coffee, I just would love a drink and just a piece of toast or something. And you forget that those little things can make a huge difference in somebody's life.
They absolutely can. How kind of your husband to ask. That's great.
And tell me what the response has been like with the ugly sweater campaign.
People like the ugly sweaters. We've gotten a lot of interest, and we really thank Citizen Relations for coming up with this great idea, because it is kind of a sad thing that happens. But I think what they've done is they've made it kind of fun, and they've made it accessible for us all to start this conversation. Because of these sweaters, we're having this great conversation right now. So I think it's been a wonderful way to create a platform for people to say, it's okay to not feel great right now.
Yeah, and it's a great way to shine a light on something that people are sometimes ashamed to talk about. So I want to really put out the information again. If somebody is looking for help or information on this, where can they go?
They can go to our website, cmha.ca, and you'll see some tips and tricks for dealing with holiday blues. But you'll also find some other supports for if you are feeling like you are at your last extremity. As I mentioned, there are crisis lines there to call. And there are also supportive programs like Bounce Back, which is a free program that supports anxiety and depression.
Margaret, thank you so much. This was an important chat. I hope a lot of people watching at home really take this to heart. Have a wonderful holiday. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. You too.